SEMS Group has conducted various international conferences, seminar, webinar, and workshop in emerging technologies in various parts of India and has an active network of about 3,000 plus engineers, managers, and researchers. As discussed earlier, the topic for today's webinar is prevention of sexual harassment at workplace. Before going further, I request all the participants to remain mute throughout the webinar. And if you have any doubt, then you can write it in the chat box. The world is full of diamond and gems, and we are having one of them with us today. So, without any further ado, I request Meenu ma'am, introduction of Meenu ma'am. She is a speaker of the day. So, a brief introduction about her is she is a certified trainer in prevention of sexual harassment, holding a post graduation in marketing and HR. She has worked with diverse individuals and communities, including self image, work related challenges, relationship, domestic violence, sexual abuse, and trauma. She has also been an amazing awareness in the managers and leader about the roles and responsibilities in the prevention and resolution of sexual harassment at workplace. She has conducted 5 plus employee awareness session, 5 internal committee trainings, 5 plus trainings for the role of managers, and 5 plus training for the management and leadership. So I thank Meenu ma'am for taking your time for today's webinar. So over to you, ma'am. You can proceed with your PPT. Thank you so much, ma'am.
For the warm introduction. Hello, everyone. A very good evening to each and everyone present here. I hope I am loud and clear, and I hope I am audible too. Yes,
ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes,
so today's topic, as Pooja has told, it is prevention of sexual harassment. The most important topic for today. It is the need of the hour. As the cases are rising day by day, we can see it is not only the virtual harassment, it is physical, mental, all sort of harassment is happening, not only at home, but at workplace, outside, inside. The newspaper is full of all these things. And we are the future leaders. We can create awareness, we can stop, we can educate people about it. So as per the law, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act 2013, what does it say? How forward? How can we be the awareness experts of it? So we will be taking you through the entire process of Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act 2013. Why POSH Act? There are so many acts, there are so many laws. So a lady named Banwari Devi was engaged by the state of Rajasthan to prevent the evil child marriage, but her work was met with resentment. She was gang raped in 1992, and with her lots of hard work, she was even taken up. She was brutally assaulted, but she did not lose her hope. Went to the police to file the FIR. She went for the medical, but nothing could happen or get the justice. So NGOs, especially the Vishaka and other women NGOs, came for her help. And in 2013, that is 9th December 2013, is the day when we were given this act, which we are going to learn today, named Prevention of Sexual Harassment at Workplace, Act 2013. One of the most important Vishakha judgment, right? Because of that Banwari Devi case. She stayed in the village Bhateri, 55 kilometers away from the village, Rajasthan, right? So this is the judgment. This is the most important. This is the, the stone laid the foundation of POSH Act. So now we are safe just because of the Banwari Devi case and many other cases which took before 2013. Vishakha and others versus state of Rajasthan. This is the case made that yes, POSH Act is important. POSH Act is modeled on the legally binded guidelines in 2013. 9th December 2013. So let us just enjoy this video to know more about what is POSH Act.
Hi, today we're going to tell you how to not sexually harass a female co-worker. This is a female colleague. She is not honey, sweetie, sweetheart, darling, sexy or cutie. She has a name. Use it. That way you'll be acknowledging that she's a real colleague and not just eye candy brought to the office for your viewing pleasure. When speaking to a female colleague, look at her face. Don't drop those eyes. She's not an object placed in front of you to ogle. Keep your hands to yourself. A hand on hers, a caress of her arm. Just grazing her thigh? Totally. No. This is a workplace, not a rom-com.
So if I approach her outside office, it's my business, right?
Yes, but if she's involved, it's her business too. And you're still colleagues. Don't send her dirty emails or SMSs or ishq ke izhar. No following her home. No virtual stalking either, especially if she's already said no. No means no. Believe it. Basically, just like you, women are in the workplace to work. Not to be hit on, not as objects or accessories. And if they dress smart and wear makeup, it's not for you. And if you can't wrap your heads around that, there's always the Vishaka Committee guidelines to boot you out of the workplace environment that you can't respect.
I hope this video will make it very clear what Vishaka guidelines are, which laid the foundation of POSH Act. All video, which clearly states everything. You can play this video in the reception area of your office, in the cafeteria, and any other places where most of the people visit to make them aware that yes, what POSH Act is, what are Vishaka guidelines, and your organization is POSH compliant.
Hi, today.
All right, as per the law, the POSH Act. POSH Act is defined as sexual harassment that physical contact or advances, demand or request for sexual favors, making sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, or any welcome physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature. If anything of this sort is done, then you are under the trouble. POSH Act covers all these 5 aspects very clearly. And if anyone is under such trauma, whether it is physical contact, whether it's demand for requests for sexual favors, sexually colored remarks, jokes, pornographies, or anything which is for physical, verbal, or non-verbal conduct of sexual nature, you can report. This is as per the POSH law. And if any promise of preferential treatment in the employment in return of the sexual favor, or the threat of the detrimental treatment, threat about the present or the future employment status, or any behavior or act with the sexual nature that interferes with an employee's work or creates an unfavorable atmosphere, it will all be covered under the POSH Act. So you guys needs to be very, very clear in your understanding that if any such thing is happening to you or to anybody across, you can guide that person that yes, Vishaka guidelines are there. POSH Act 2013 is there to safeguard you. Think about POSH Act at workplace. So what does workplace defines? The Act defines. The POSH Act defines workplace as any place visited by the employee arising out of or during the course of employment, even the transport, the home that you're working, that if you're working remotely, if you're working from your home is your workplace. If you're going on a cab, if you're going on a training, if you're conducting any training, if you are on a team meeting, if you're on a picnic, which is conducted by the office, if you're going to a client's place, right, are out of course of work or out of course of employment, all the places are covered under the workplace, right? Whether it is government, whether it is public, whether it is private limited, whether it is, self-employment, even if the domestic help, any help, cook is coming to your house is the workplace for her, right? Anybody comes out of employment is known as workplace. Third, this is home considered workplace when working remotely? Even there is a case, Malik versus Controller and Auditor General of India, Delhi High Court. They have strictly told after this case that yes, the pandemic has changed the entire scenario. Most of us are working remotely. We are working from our house. So when we are working from our home or working outside our office premises and we are working for the office, that place will be considered our workplace. It could be any place. So home is also considered a workplace according to the POSH Act. It is the owner of the house, right? He's an employer or she's an employer. So an employee contractual obligations with respect on her employees. As per the POSH Act here, there are three definitions for employers. For a government or a local authority, an employer for a house is the head of the department, organization, undertaking, establishment, enterprises, institutions, office, branch, or unit. But if we talk about the domestic place, household, who employs or employment of a domestic worker. But if we talk about the sports or any other area or any other establishment, employer is any other person responsible for the management, supervision, and control of the workplace. This includes a board of committee responsible for formulation and administration of policies for such organization, discarding duties and taking out the work. As per the POSH Act, now we have understood who are the employers. So what are the duties of, what are the basic duties of the employer? So as per the responsibility is the safety of all the employees. First and the foremost duty of an employer is the safety within the workplace. The POSH Act makes it mandatory for the employer of an organization or a company to provide the safe working environment for all the women employees, draft an organizational policy against the sexual harassment of women at workplace, formulate the internal committee. We will be talking about the internal committee when there are 10 or more than 10 employees in the organization. As duty, we have to redressal process, right? What constitute non-compliance of the POSH Act? If anything what the employer has not done, the employers will be considered non-compliant of the POSH Act if they fails to formulate the POSH policy of the organization, constitute an internal committee, create awareness about POSH among the employees, harassment, actions against the person for submitting a false complaint, if so, and file an annual report to the district office. Penalties for non-compliance of POSH Act. If any of the organization, any of the employer, right, fails to constitute the POSH Act or fails to do not constitute the POSH committee in the organization and they've got more than 10 members, in that case, if employer of the organization violates or attempts to violate any provision under the POSH Act, then the fine is minimum 50,000, or if the repeat offense is done for the non-compliance, then twice the punishment or cancellation or non-renewal of the business license, or the penalty could be very severe, that it can even lead that they can lead it to the court. So POSH formulation or POSH Act is mandatory for all the organization to have the awareness, and if there are more than 10 members or 10 members, then internal committee needs to be formulated, POSH policy should be formulated, sensitive to the environment. This is as per the government law. Sexual harassment, basically, which we talk about, is quid pro quo form of sexual harassment and hostile work environment. About the quid pro quo, give and take, this and that. I hope everybody must be understanding this or that, a common understanding, important implication. You do this for me, I'll do that for you. You come out on a date with me, I'll give you an increment. Or if you do not come out on a coffee with me or a date with me, then you might lose your jobs. Form of sexual harassment. It happens at many places. And in recent times, it has been seen that the people who are in the position or who are at the authority ask their subordinates to go out with them. You must understand what is right, what is wrong, and how you can approach, whom you can approach. Hostile work environment. Hostile work environment, as the name suggests, when we create difficult situation or when we create a negative environment for a person to work. Described hostile work environment differently. However, they all have some common aspect. Any form of behavior, action, or communication creates a hostile work environment, which is unwelcome, which is sexually explicit in nature, which is offensive, which hampers work performance. So it should not be intended, but yes, it is always the impact that matters, not the intent. A hostile work environment is the second form of sexual harassment where employees create difficult situation for employees or the peer group to work, rumors, to gossip around and make the life miserable. Where people says that I do not want to work, ready to perform at their best of the capabilities. I've learned here is quid pro quo, that is this for that, exchange. And second form is hostile work environment where people create difficult situation for another person to work.
Types of sexual harassment.
It is just
There are
recap.
primarily two types of sexual harassment. Quid pro quo, hostile work environment. Quid pro quo means this for that, which means you give me something, I give you something in return. For example, promotion in return for sexual favors. Hostile environment. This kind of sexual harassment is repeated unwanted acts of sexual or gender-based discriminatory behavior that has a negative impact on workplace behavior. Let us look at a few scenarios. The next few scenarios will help you gain understanding of both quid pro quo and hostile environment sexual harassment. At the end of each scenario, there will be one or two scenarios for you to reflect upon and understand the concept completely. Scenario 1. Jeffrey approaches his female subordinate Sheila from behind. Loosening his tie, he leans towards her and says, "Listen, I watched you come in this morning and couldn't help notice how attractive you look. And it caused me to think about you. Sales is where you'll do a great job. Are you offering me a promotion?" Sheila asks. "Haha, you've got to work for that," he says. "Let's go for lunch." Sheila immediately responds, "I'm busy. Besides, you gave me a deadline for this report, remember? Forget the deadline. How about dinner?" "Like I said, I'm busy." Sheila insists. Jeffrey's demeanor shifts as he straightens his tie and says, "I thought you took your job seriously. I thought you had your eye on the future. I could ask anyone in this company to lunch. Anyone. And most of them would be willing to go. Maybe you should think about that." "What's that supposed to mean?" she asked. "You figure out," says Jeffrey and leaves for lunch. Is this an example of sexual harassment? Yes. This is definitely a form of sexual harassment called quid pro quo and involves coercion. Quid pro quo means this for that. Example, I promise you a raise or a promotion in return for sexual favors. The fact that Jeffrey is tying promotions to sexual favors essentially alters the conditions of the workplace. In this example, his behavior could still be considered sexual harassment even if Sheila consents to dinner, and or sexual favor if she can prove that refusing his offers would likely have resulted in some sort of punishment regarding her employment status. She does not necessarily have to say no or stop if it can be proven that she would have been punished. Scenario 2. Victor and Rosie are co-workers in the same department. After a group meeting went well, Victor says to Rosie, "Well, I think the group meeting went pretty well." "I think so too. The team really liked the presentation we made," replied Rosie. "Well, honestly, I think you really ought to wear that skirt to every group meeting," said Victor with a wink. "And that perfume too. I love it." "Victor, stop it. I don't want you making comments like that about my appearance or my personal life. That's off limits," said Rosie in an exasperated tone. "Hey Rosie, how was I supposed to know? You never said anything about this before." "I tried to give you many hints, Victor. You just don't seem to understand. So now I'm telling you, I want it to stop. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I hope we are clear now." "Gee, can't you take a compliment? I want you to stop talking to me this way. Your comments have made me feel uncomfortable. Don't do it again." Is this an example of sexual harassment? Yes, this definitely is. Victor's behavior in this example is called creating a hostile work environment. Here, Victor has made repeated unwanted acts of sexual or gender-based behavior by referring to Rosie's outfit and perfume as the reason for the successful team meeting. He has just made a discriminatory statement. The fact that this is not the first time he has said things to Rosie with sexual undertones is also visible. Clearly, Victor is perpetrating a hostile environment. This type of sexual harassment in the workplace creates an intimidating, hostile, or demeaning environment or situation that is unfavorable to a person's job performance.
I hope it is absolutely clear the two forms of sexual harassment, quid pro quo and hostile. So now let us move forward to understand the scope of POSH Act. Basically, the features. We are talking about the sexual harassment of women at workplace. So prevention, prohibition, and redressal. That is the three words: prevention, prohibition, and the Redressal Act 2013, which was enacted as an attempt to ensure a woman's right to live with dignity and the right to carry out patient. This act sexual harassment for every woman who has visited a workplace. That means a woman can complain if she faces the sexual harassment in a work or a workplace of another person. POSH Act, public private establishment that carries out commercial, vocational, educational, entertainment, industrial, manufacturing, financial activities in the whole of India. It includes organized, unorganized sectors, non-governmental sectors, organizations, even the domestic help, the maid which works, which protects her. Everyone is protected under the POSH Act. If any female, any woman, as this act says, prevention of sexual harassment of women at workplace. So every woman is protected under the act, which is known as POSH Act in short form 2030. So all the organizations, all the sectors are covered under this act. If they are going out of work or if they have visited any organization, any office, any institution, any stadium for any work and they are being harassed in any which ways, they can complain. Which is a POSH Act and gender neutrality. So many of us, I get this question, is POSH Act gender neutral? And the answer is no. As per the POSH Act, only women can file a complaint of sexual harassment. It is to be noted that the POSH Act allows only aggrieved women. It has been very clearly stated that only the aggrieved women can file the complaint against sexual harassment. Whereas there is a landmark judgment for the case Dr. Malvika Bhattacharya versus Internal Committee, right? Vivekanand College. The Honorable Justice Sabyasachi Bhattacharya of the High Court of Kolkata remarked that there is nothing in Section 9 of 2013 Act to preclude a same gender complaint under this Act, right? So even female can complain against a female. A male can, definitely male can harass a female. So complaint can be through any sex, female to female or from male to female. But yes, if you have gender neutral policy in your organization, then you can have the committee, not as the internal committee, but yes, there the male can go and complain. But we are talking only about the POSH Act, which says only females are covered under this Act. So females can complain in the internal committee. Under the POSH Act. Very important question. So anybody victim of sexual harassment, as per the POSH Act, aggrieved woman could be an employee, a visitor, we have just told you, client or a vendor, housekeeping or a maintenance staff, intern, volunteer, temporary worker, and any person who is the victim of the sexual harassment can come. She has the right to file a complaint of sexual harassment with the employer. It is important to note that the aggrieved woman need not to be an employee of the organized complainant. As per the Act, the POSH Act defines the complainant as the person who filed a written complaint of the sexual harassment. We have got three ways of complaint, right? One is internal committee. We will be taking it. Then local committee and the she box. There are three ways where the complainant can complain. Complainant is the person who is the victim, right? Woman or any person who files the complaint on her behalf with the written consent of the aggrieved can file the complaint in the three ways. One is internal committee, one is local committee, and one is she box. That is the online portal. Respondent. So respondent is the person against whom the complaint is being filed. The respondent can be an employee, of the organization or the third part, right? You will be hearing these two words, complainant and the respondent. Complainant is the one who is the victim who has filed the complaint, and the respondent is the person against whom the complaint is being filed. All right. So we were talking about the three places where the victim, where the complainant can file the complaint. So let us understand the first form, that is local committee. All right. So local committee, according to the POSH Act, they formulated as per the section 6, which states that district officer must form the local complaint committee for the respective district. So local redress complaints of sexual harassment from employees of the organization that do not have internal committee, or domestic helps, the housemaids, the cook, or anyone trained under the local committee. It is formed with the help of the DMs, the district magistrates. They form a DOs, the district officers there, then the nodal officers there, right? And they take care of higher process. If any of the complaint has come to the nodal officer, he will forward or she will forward the complaint to the local committee, and they will, resolve the concern. They will take it forward. In this local, it should have a minimum of 5 members, and at least 50% of them have to be a woman. First is chairperson, an eminent woman in the field of social work. Then second member, a woman working in block, taluka, tehsil, ward or community. Then 2, and working in the NGO or association committed to the cause of a woman, or a person familiar with the issue which is related to the sexual harassment. And one of them has to be a woman. Right? Then the ex-officer complaint committee was the name earlier, but after the repealing and the Amendment Act 2016, internal complaint committee name was cut down to internal committee, and local complaint committee, the name was changed or cut down to local committee. It can address not only the sexual harassment but other sort of a harassment as well. The second form of committee, which is mandatory for all the organizations who has got 10 or more than 10 members in the organization, it is mandatory for them to have the internal committee. Internal comprises of 4 members. 1 member, the chairperson or the presiding officer, needs to be mandatorily a woman, 50% women. 3 has to be the internal members, the organization staff, and 1 is the external member. 50% of them needs to be women to address the issues in the organization. To redress the sexual harassment complaints, organizations which have got 10 or more employees must formulate a team called internal committee. Internal committee, as I've told you, was formerly known as internal complaint committee, but the name changes from internal complaint committee to internal committee after the repealing and the Amendment Act 2016. This amendment indicates that the internal committee should not only redress the sexual harassment complaint, but also take measures to prevent sexual harassment and prevent all sorts of harassment at the work. You can also have the external member, either male or a female. That member has to be, have complete knowledge of POSH Act, could be a lawyer, should be from a legal entity, should be working for the NGO for the cause of women and child rights. Internal tenure of internal committee is 3 years. After that, the positions will be replaced or changed. Registration of IC is important, as per few of the states have declared, like Telangana, Maharashtra, then Noida. Few of the organizations have clearly told, they have passed out the circular that MWCD, Women and Child Development Department, issued notice that the organization have get 10 or more members should register their committee, register the IC under the she box. Mandatory. We were talking about the external member. So external member, who is the external member, or who can be the external member? External member performs the following duties: helps the POSH compliant, help in creating awareness of the act among employees, answers questions from the employees and the IC members, supervise the inquiry proceedings, complaints to ensure that the inquiries are objective, and follows the principle of natural justice. Very, very important. Assess the IC members to prepare the minutes of the meeting, which is most important part. Help in or assist in inquiry proceedings. Assess the IC members or the internal committee members to prepare the annual report, which is the important part. Like we every year, everybody, file the income tax return. Similarly, every organization who has got 10 or more members have to prepare the annual report and submit by the end of the calendar year. And the most important one, the she box. It is an initiative by the government of India. File the online complaint, and you can complain it simultaneously also. If you have filed the complaint with the internal committee and you wanted to file the complaint with the she box as well, you can do. Or the sexual harassment electronic box is an effort by the government of India to provide a single window access to every woman, irrespective of a work status, whether working in the organized, unorganized, private, or the public sector, anywhere, to facilitate registration of a complaint related to the sexual harassment. You can just type shebox.in or nic.in and you can see the register your complaint or view status of your complaint. And this is the easiest mechanism to file a complaint, whether it is internal committee, whether it is local committee, whether it is shebox. Everywhere it has to be in writing. Verbal thing is not entertained at all. If at all any complainant comes to any of these LC or IC, it is the first duty is to help them in filing the written complaint. Okay, the complainant can file the complaint within 3 months. You are subjective to any harassment today, you have got 3 months time to file the complaint. Or if it is a series of complaints, then from the last incident, you have got 3 months to complain. But as per the jurisdiction, if you have not filed the complaint within 3 months and you have got the valid reason for it, it depends from the IC to IC. It depends from their perspective. You can file the complaint after 3 months also. But you have to give the valid proof. You have to give the valid justification. And it depends upon the internal complaint members to take it, right? They can extend another 3 months if the reason of the delay is justified, if it is valid, right? So let us just see one quick video.
Hi, it's Hella. I'm back again. I have something really important to talk about. It's a subject we rarely discuss because it can make us feel uncomfortable. Sexual harassment at the workplace. But eventually, I decided I didn't want to suffer in silence or let others face the same experience. I first confronted the person harassing me and let him know what he was doing was upsetting me. When it didn't stop, I took notes on what happened, where, and when. Then I spoke to my supervisor, whom I trust, and she knew exactly what to do. She went to speak to the human resource manager. Then things really began to change for the better. So if you ever experience sexual harassment in the workplace, don't suffer in silence and make sure you speak to someone who can solve the problem. They will listen and they know how to help you. Do it for yourself and your colleagues.
So I hope this is absolutely clear that we should understand that if we are subject to sexual harassment, we should not just sit in silence. We should speak up for ourselves. We should learn to say no. Even there is a beautiful movie which says Ping. I hope everybody must have seen that. Even that movie tells us that if the female has said no, it means no, period. Right? So we must start speaking for ourselves. And if people are not listening, even after saying no, you have got the internal committee, you have got the local committee, and you have got the she box where you can register your complaint. If not, right, do not just sit silence. Do not have the barriers of complaining. Do not think that you are alone. Do not just stop going for work. Speak up for yourself. There are committees, there are procedures to follow. There is a POSH Act with you to help you out, right? Educate your people around you. Internal committee, you have complained and still you want to register the complaint with the police. It is absolutely okay. Internal committee will help you. They'll escort you. They'll guide you to register the police complaint. What? Right. See, as per the Section 19G of the POSH Act, which states that the employer must provide assistance to the woman if she chooses to file a complaint in relation to the offense under the Indian Penal Code 45 of 1860 or any other law for the time being in full, right? So there are timelines, there are ways, there are process, but we must educate everyone on this mother earth that there are procedures and we must follow. We must not give rise to the sexual harassment complaint, right? There is a proper timeline, there is a proper process that one follows. As I've told you, 3 months for the complainant to complain. Then the internal committee will understand and give back a notice to the respondent and the complainant within 7 days. After that, respondent will respond back in writing. Everything will happen in writing. Once the complaint is being registered in writing, you need to write everything. A good complaint carries when, what, where, how. It's to write everything. If you have got witness, if you have got the emails, if you have got the photographs, if you have SMSs, the WhatsApp chat, all these are documented proof. You can, take a screenshot and you can give it take a printout and give it as a proof, right? So the committee will work for it, and the entire procedure, guys, it is absolutely confidential. This is the best part. One ear will not lead it to another ear. If any confidentiality breach is happening, then there is a fine. Even the internal committee members will not leak out anything. They will keep it strictly confidential within them. Even the taken when they are nominated for the tenure of 3 years, right? So please speak up for yourself. Then once they come, there are two processes of redressal. As we say that POSH Act says prevention, prohibition, and redressal. So the first redressal is conciliation. After submitting complainant can request the IC or LC to settle the matter through conciliation. IC or LC will communicate the complainant's desire for conciliation to the respondent, and if the respondent also agrees for the conciliation, they can initiate the conciliation. But the internal committee, the local committee will write it down, will document everything. There is a proper format of conciliation that needs to be taken care of, and there is no monetary settlement allowed. It will not be on the basis of money. Conciliation can happen on the basis of written apology. It can happen on basis of, a job transfer or the supervisor change, all right? Anything can happen, will be involved in conciliation. Still, if the respondent or the complainant do not wish to conciliate, then committee to take it forward or form the inquiry. Process of inquiry. The internal committee or the local committee will initiate the inquiry if the complainant or the respondent wishes particular format. They can ask, because the internal committee has the power of a civil court vested in them, so they can ask for the documentary proof, they can call them, they can have the meetings, the interview with them for the subsequent, and they can give the time. Every time in an inquiry, minimum 3 members need to be present. It is mandate. And after every meeting, minutes of the meeting needs to be formed. Whatever happened in that inquiry proceedings, in that hearing, everything has to be noted down in detail by the internal committee. If minutes of the meeting will be circulated to the employer, to the respondent, to the complainant, and 1 copy for the internal committee. This will happen every time. So employer will be looped, respondent and the complainant will be having all papers, all the hearing copies with, and it is mandate. Once the inquiry is being completed within the span of 90 days, right? So in 3 months, complainant to complain, then 7 for the internal committee to have a internal discussions and send the notice to both the parties to appear before them. 10 days for the respondent to respond. Then again 90 days time period for the internal committee to complete the process. And once the inquiry is being completed, then internal committee will give their recommendation to the employer, and employer will finally check, and if the employer agrees to what the recommendation has been made by the internal committee, then they will pass it to the respondent. Then respondent can also appeal if he does not agree within the set timeline. The most important thing that once the inquiry is completed for the entire year, the calendar year, it is the internal committee to file the annual report. Annual report look like. Annual report should have number of sessions conducted in a year, number of cases that came up, number of cases disposed of, number of cases. These are the important things. Number of workshops conducted for different section, maybe ICC, sensitization different, for managers different. How many of them have been conducted? They can mention that. And it has to be submitted at the year end, by the end of the calendar year, right? So this is basically the process of the POSH Act that we are talking about. This is the small awareness session that females are safe if we know that they have their own rights. That is prevention of sexual harassment. Even government are taking up their steps, forming the local complaint committee. Government has also given us the measures of sexual harassment electronic box, that is known as SHE box, and all the organization that is mandate by the government of India that yes, you have to form the internal committee if you are 10 or more in numbers and file the annual report. So do not need to worry if they are being subject to the sexual harassment. They can raise up their voice. They can come and speak up for themselves. But most importantly, they should understand what is sexual harassment and what is. Understanding is very important, and speak up for themselves. They should start saying no. Most importantly, if they repeat it, then please raise your voice. Go to any of them, local committee, internal committee, or the SHE box, whichever you think is fit for you. All right. So guys, I hope I have told you in a very plain, very simple way. So just to recap, we are conducting a small activity. I'll share a link with you in the chat box before taking the questions. All right, Pooja? So who all wants to participate? This is a form of an activity. This is a game of a Nearpod where you just need to click on the link and answer the question that follows. Choose your avatar, choose your character, and I'll just share my screen again. Thank you, Hari. Sure. We're just taking it. I'll just share the link of an activity. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Let me just share the link with you. So I lost that link with you in the chat box. I hope it is, everyone can see this, guys. And quickly you can join the activity. I'll share the screen again. Quickly click on the link and you'll reach this page of Nearpod where we will start playing the game. I'll give you 3 minutes for people to join in. You just need to click on the link. All right, Mosmi has joined. Adil, Neha, the moment minutes I have before taking the question, guys. Left, quickly connect. All right, 1.3 minutes left. 1 minute left. Guys, who wants to join? Quickly join. Then we'll start the game. Cap what we have learned till now, what we have discussed till now. It is a form of a recap. Guys, there are few questions. Once I start the game, there would be questions in your own screen. All right, do not look at my screen. You have to look in your own screen, whether you are connected through your mobile or through the laptop or desktop. Right, there would be questions. You need to click on the right answer. There is a multiple choice question, and let us see who reaches on the top first. So I'm just starting the game. So all the best. All right, here we go. Please look it in your screen now. This is the full form of POSH. Prevention of Sexual Harassment, same harassment of cruelty to animals. Right, everyone correct. Good job. Okay, let us move to the second question. Adil, you got it wrong. Did I? 9th December 2013. Absolutely correct. Harish is leading. Yes or no? Wow, Harish on first, Mosmi second. Those Rajkumar wrong. Child work environment. Still is on leading now, position first. Job. How many members from internal committee? Correct answer is so you need more sessions on this. The jokes of a women's body and clothing is a form of sex. Yes, very nice. Thank you. Everyone correct? Yes. Last but not the least. Harassment. Let's put that. Very good. Report. Pratishi. Participation. 1 second. Okay. So now let us take your question and answers. So Pooja, if you can help me out with the questions, or if you want to ask me directly.
Ma'am, the first question from my side is that mainly I see that girls faces this problem that they are afraid of the society, like the words thrown by them from the society after taking such actions. So what are your judgment in that? Like we should go for that or not? Because in this generation, people mainly feel that the society is the first and foremost thing which must be taken into consideration. So what are your opinion in this?
Pooja, if you can just repeat your question once again.
Yes, ma'am, sure. Ma'am, mainly the question is like that if the girls are facing this kind of problem, they mainly fear of the word that are thrown in them by the society. Like after taking such actions, people may say that no girl, the whole mistake is of the girl. Like if she is scheduling other people with their dress or with her like open-minded thoughts. So people mainly put the fingers on the girls first and not on the boys. So what are your judgment in this?
Barrier to sexual harassment. We have to overcome this. See, what happens, Pooja? This question is not for you, but this is a general question that comes up. It is a social stigma. लोग क्या कहेंगे? मैंने क्या
Yes, ma'am.
पहना था? What I wore? Maybe this is, inviting other. No, it is entirely up to you what you want to wear. If you are uncomfortable, you can go ahead and complain. That is your right. Your, the most important, the fundamental rule or the fundamental right that when anybody is born, we are in the democratic country. So we must not just by thinking that log kya kahenge, मैंने क्या पहना था, did I invited him by wearing short dresses? Or maybe I lose my job if I complained in the internal committee. Please do not question. POSH committee, internal committee, SheBox, and the local committee are with you. It is strictly confidential. Nobody will come to know anything. All right, whatever you want to wear, the dress you are comfortable with. If you're working in corporate, there are few set of rules what you need to wear. Maybe denim is not allowed during Monday to Thursday, but yes, on Friday or Saturday you can wear. Right? Dress above knee length is not allowed in many organizations. So it depends on going to a workplace, what sort of dress you should wear if you're comfortable with. Do not think of other people. Log kya kahenge. All right. If
Yes,
anybody
ma'am.
is seeing you with the wrong eyes, I would like to tell you one more thing. If anybody is staring at you with the wrong intention for more than 30 seconds, even that is covered under the POSH Act, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So do not worry about it. POSH Act is there to help you. People are there to help you out with all the wrong intentions, the impact that you are going through. Please come out with all that barriers. My parents will think, oh, आपने कुछ गलत किया होगा, तभी तो ऐसा हुआ है. No. Start changing the mindset. It is your life. It is you who has to live.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
I totally agree with your points. But in this situation, I think more of awareness is needed for all the girls because many of time like they don't go for these laws because they are not aware of these rules and rights for them. So I think more awareness should be done to this. And apart from that, ma'am, thank you so much for this incredible session. I request all the participants, if you have any doubt, please write in the chat section, or else we can move further.
Everyone, guys, we are also coming up with the detailed session on 11th, 12th, and 13th of November, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., which is a certification course for 3 days, 3 hours each. Right? If you want to know in detail with the certification along with SEMS group, you can register. You can, the ID is here, the details are here. Right? So recordings, PPT, everything you will get it on that session. This is just the awareness session that SEMS group, the foundation group wants every people on this mother earth should be aware about the fundamental right.
Yes, ma'am.
We are happy to help.
Ma'am, I have another question from the participant side that
Yes.
people are saying that people with high money power tends to don't to go for like FIRs and all, like they take all the like जितने भी उसमें जो रहते हैं issues, वो high money power people like they take it from them with the help of their high money power, they like close the chapter over there. उसके बाद वो मैटर आगे बढ़ता ही नहीं, like somebody is asking this one. So, what to do in that?
See,
Like, is there
then
any opportunity for that?
as I've told you, that this is the electronic box directly taken care by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Right? This is the unbiased section. You'll get the result very soon. I have personally seen if it is the employer, as you are saying, we have got lots of money and we cannot file the case against the employer itself because he owns the company, right? How can I file the complaint against, or because the IC is formed by them only? Then you to go and file the complaint electronically, online complaint, and you will get the result because they do not know you, they do not know the company, they know what is right, and they will give you fair justice. This I've seen many cases that had happened to me, my clients, that they approach Shebox and they get the result very soon, and they are not, taken or they are not bribed through any which means.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we have a question from the participant side that which is an effective way to prevent harassment?
Sorry, I lost your voice in between. If you can just repeat.
Ma'am, which is an effective way to prevent harassment?
Awareness. The most important is awareness. Where if you are talking from an organization view, please put posters that there are multiple videos also that I share in my, the workshop that I conduct, the train the trainer, the expertise on POSH. Play that videos in the cafeteria, at the reception areas, do awareness campaign. Every Friday, you can just throw a flyer if it is an IT company. Make it a rule that zero tolerance policy is there against the sexual harassment or any form of a misconduct if it is there. So if the rise their duties, what they need to do, when we are hiring people, we must educate them that any form of harassment is prohibited here. Then this sexual harassment cases will come down automatically if they are aware.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we have another question over here. If a sexual harassment case goes up to the court, but the judgment were against the person, what are the other ways we can approach?
Case has gone in the court.
But the judgment was on the against of the other person. So, what are the other ways to get out of that?
And you are talking about if the case has gone against the respondent.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then if you have not gone or if you have not get the justice in the tribunal court, you may approach the high court. Otherwise, again, I will say you can reach the Shebox. That is the best platform. And again, one court does not over. You can reach to the higher court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and appeal is the process where the respondent can appeal that I'm not satisfied with the justice. You can appeal back.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, here is the next question that how to face the society. As society is the biggest problem. So, Ms. Neetu is asking this question that how to face the society.
This is extremely good question, Neetu. First of all, thank you for putting this across. People do not report just kya kahenge. I was addressing this. People who judge you, people says everything is confidential. So do not worry about the society. You have got the beautiful life. Just live. If you have been harassed, this is a very common saying. Even if you do not do anything, people will say, because they are also free. Why to worry? Why are you doing the same thing? Just by thinking कि वो क्या कहेंगे, let them do. Consequences. Face the people, because higher process of POSH Act is confidential. Right?
I hope all the participants have got their perfect answer. So I would like to thank ma'am for this informative and incredible session. Feedback link has been shared to you. So your feedback is very important to us. I request everyone to fill it out. I would like to propose heartiest vote of thanks to you for praising today's webinar. Your presence and wise word help us magnifying in the best possible way. I hope all the participants learn a lot from this webinar. Thank you, ma'am, for giving us this valuable time, and I feel very delighted to be a part of today's webinar. Ma'am, anything else from your side, or else we can wrap it up?
Thank you so much, everyone, for being so participative. And I hope we all will gesture in helping each and every one of us in the society. Be the light of change because everything starts from us. So let us go ahead and spread the awareness so that the cases may get down. Right? We should stay in a peaceful society, peaceful workplace, and all the very best. Have a happy day ahead and happy week ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja, and thank you, SEMS, for organizing and calling me up on this beautiful platform. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. So a good event never ends. It only takes a pause and keep us waiting for the next. All good things eventually end, and I consider everyone as fortunate that they become a part of today's webinar, which was full of knowledge and which make it difficult to say goodbye. Thank you so much, everyone, for your cooperation and confidence and optimism is a fate to lead achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. So I, Pooja Gorai, host for the day, signing off on a cheerful note. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you so much.